Dr. Kamila, good evening to you and welcome to In Focus. Let me start here with the core issue. Why are early elections during war times considered unrealistic or even destabilizing?
Well, this is a very good question because many people doesn't really take into account that polling station in active combat zone, and actually this is a reality, or in the region under the threat of missile strikes, would fundamentally violate international standards of free and fair elections. Like, for instance, has been enriched in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. European Commission for Democracy Throughout, called Venice Commission, underscores many times that elections must be conducted in the conditions that guarantee universal suffrage, equality, and security, and those conditions manifestly absent are in Ukraine today. We have to take into account that it's really important to act according to the law. And Article 21 of Universal Declaration of Human Rights and 25 on ICCPR clearly states that elections must be held with genuine participation, without coercion or exclusion, and under secure conditions. Voting would inevitably breach this condition, exposing voters to danger and distorting democratic legitimacy. Moreover, EU neighborhood policy and enlargement negotiation, which now also takes place when it comes to the EU and Ukraine, really makes it clear electoral integrity is non-negotiable for democratic countries. That's the reason why there are such a strong recommendation coming from Brussels that to delay elections until martial law is lifted and the security is restored, because there is no legal or ethical shortcut to democratic legitimacy. And we have to take into account that according to Ukrainian constitution, for instance, Article 43.4, it provides the parliamentary terms continues until the cessation of martial law. That's the eighth thing. Moreover, the Ukrainian law of legal regime of martial law, Article 19, states very clearly that presidential or parliamentary elections are explicitly prohibited during the periods of martial law. So the both premature elections would violate both international and legal and constitutional, in the context of Ukrainian law, Ukrainian law, principles of pacta sunt servanda, and will basically breach international and domestic order. Let's not forget that over 20% of Ukraine territory is occupied now. Nearly 6 million, maybe more, Ukrainians are displaced. And the whole process will be absolutely logistically incoherent and will be clearly morally questionable and ethically more questionable, right, just to start with.
Right, but the US appears to support the idea of elections as a path towards peace talks. Now, what's your take on the strategic or the motivation behind that?
Well, this situation clearly shows that destabilization disguised a democracy, because call for election on this stage could reflect clearly more Kremlin-endorsed tactics designed to fracture internal cohesion in the Ukraine, as well as within the various international organizations, to delegitimize wartime leadership or to force negotiation under the pressure. But clearly, Russia seeks to instrumentalize democratic process to sow division. It is a clearly tactic which they have already proved to be useful during the Eastern European and post-Soviet states, and they actually acting this and using this quite often. This important thing is as well that there is no chance to credible polling suggestions in any likely winner would support Russian terms for peace. Rather than post-war politics may tilt towards hardened nationalists or military leadership, this is really difficult to actually really allow to natural evolution of wartime democracy have choice.
But we're speaking here we're not speaking here about Russia. Actually, we're speaking about the US and it's the vision of the US.
That's the reason. Absolutely. And what can I see here is actually that US, by pulling this string may actually trying to push as well to enhance ceasefire talks, to ensuring that this promise of Donald Trump to ensure peace within the Ukraine will be with a very dire condition, more or less achievable, because clearly what they would like to do and what we would like to see is to have someone being replaced as a president of Ukraine, and to have someone else with whom they might be, let's say, more aligned, that with Mr. Zelensky. This is really important because we can see here some sort of shield against foreign influence will be lifted, and especially during the electoral campaign, there will be no possibility for many people to vote. Hence, it's quite possible that there will be some sort of, let's say, electronic ballots. And this might be really huge breach and huge threat to cybersecurity and transparency, as well as integrity of the whole electoral system, which previously was not known for Ukrainians. So this is a really, really difficult issue, because it seems like Mr. Trump would like to use this situation to actually effectively change the leadership within Ukraine.
But let me here get that clear. Now, we are aware, or it is obvious, that President Zelensky remains the dominant political figure in polls. Now, even if a rival was to emerge, now, would it shift Ukraine's current policy approach?
Well, I certainly doubt, unless there is the situation of, let's call it, miracle winner within the election, and that kind of serious interference with integrity of election within the Ukraine will definitely bring a shame, and it will be absolutely against the essence of democracy, because it's not only an act of voting, but this is as well assurance that such a voting will occur in peace, freedom, and fairness, and we cannot have it during the air raids.
No. What I'm speaking here, would another candidate change the Ukrainian approach to towards the negotiations and towards the whole aspect here?
I certainly doubt, unless someone who will be pro-Russian will win.
So from your point of view, do you think postponing elections until post-conflict stabilization would be a stronger path towards national legitimacy? And would that be much more better as Ukraine faces such the ongoing hostilities?
Absolutely. You put it very beautifully. That's exactly the thing. Let peace come first. Let's replace bullets, and only when the soil is not longer stained with the blood of Ukrainians and other nations who are fighting there. There is really important thing, and this is actually as well European Union perspective, that this is about having an active right to vote and an active right to stand and to be elected. Because with a presidential elections, straight afterwards will be as well call for the Duma election within the Ukrainian parliament. And then with those people being on the front and fighting actively, there is no chance that there will be a real representation of those within the parliament of Ukraine as well. The war is not the time to choose to choose from the whole society new leadership. Right. And that's the reason why there is a wartime and maritime law, and that's the reason why this chain of let's say comment in the context of and in the event of wartime is having a place.